I can see us, I can hear us, but I don't know where we're coming from. Mama!
We were courting people who had a big influence in the world. So celebrities clearly did.
That whole philosophy of good and evil having to come together and all, I kind of, subscribe to that. We got in trouble for it, because Rolling Stone thought we was into devil worship. Had some problems in England years ago. We didn't know nothing about that.
I've tend to joke these, we were kind of spiritual advisors to George Clinton. He was up for it,
All the literature and stuff was where we were trying to go, with the positive and the real scary image, but the positiveness of the songs and things. We was on the same path. And they actually went out on the road with us a few places, and people thought they was part of the group too. They came to the studio and put the transcripts inside the maggot brain, especially the one on fear. That to me is still holds true. Without fear, there's no blame.
The Funkadelic have a new album on Westbound Records. It's something else.
They made the record and then they wanted liner notes for it. The liner notes on the back of a record is not the Holy Bible, but it might be a way of introducing the idea. And it had a feeling like this might be the beginning of something.
We were stupefyingly blind to the consequences of freaking people out incessantly. We believe in the unity of Christ and Satan.
Christ himself, he certainly did not treat Satan this way. He said, get hence, get going.
Unfortunately for the Process Church, any positive direction that the process were heading in was summarily destroyed.
To begin with, we were very provocative. But, we were trying to be a respectable group, and of course, bang.
In a scene described by one investigator as reminiscent of a weird religious rite, 5 persons, including actress Sharon Tate, were found dead at the home of Miss Tate and her husband, screen director Roman Polanski. Miss Tate was 8 months pregnant.
Suddenly, we are being associated with a sociopathic, serial-killing gang.
In all my years, I have never seen anything like this before.
When Manson was arrested and charged with the crimes of the century, his association with the Process Church was explored.
There was a famous book by Ed Sanders about Manson that linked him to the process. Sort of Charlie learned everything he knew from the process.
Charlie would talk about how he was Jesus and the devil all in one, and all men were, but he was more the epitome of it. And he had died 2,000 years before, and we were the only ones going to be saved. The end of the world's a good draw.
I did think we helped at all by sending a couple of people to interview Manson in jail.
When Manson was incarcerated, the Process Church asked him to write a feature for their magazine, a magazine entitled Death.
I'm talking to Father Malachi of The Process, which has been linked with the Charles Manson group. Manson actually wrote a piece for you. He said, "Death is peace from this world's madness and paradise in my own self."
I put it in the magazine, and under the pretext of we were about the resolution of opposites. I remember putting that on the same page as an interview with Malcolm Muggeridge. He came to represent the old fuddy-duddy kind of school, you know, that we all were leaving. And that was a big confirming thing with Ed Sanders and company. Oh, you know, we knew there was something funny going on, and here it is. You know, Manson is part of the process.
People started saying, so you're the devil worshippers who were in with Charlie Manson.
Hello, caller.
Yeah, say, we're currently investigating cults, and I was wondering, do you know about the cult called The Process, a very secretive cult? We have found through that there was a possibility Charlie was involved at one time with that cult.
Manson was, in one sense, he was rather clever. If you came and said, you know, is there any connection between you and Robert de Grimston? I think he said, actually, de Grimston and I are one, you know. So he's not denying anything.
I, Satan, shall stalk with the fiend. We shall stalk this earth together, lending strength to the flashing saber and unerring accuracy of the speeding missile.
Death, 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 punishment and doom, death.
We were a bit apocalyptic and end of the worldy and so on.
I think the idea was always that we were catalysts of the end. By simply announcing it, it would make people realize that there was no hope.
We were all still terrified of atomic war. We all thought it was going to be over. When the Cuban Missile Crisis happened, I remember my mother saying, as we went off to school, she gave me a big hug and kissed me and said, "I love you. I want you to remember that in case we're all dead by tonight." It was that real.
I loved us being this apocalyptic end of the world cult, and we were the special ones in the middle. That was a wonderful compensation for my youthful sense of uselessness and inadequacy. I was looking forward to it. It sounded like a really cool experience. I mean, I'd been born there in the middle of the English middle classes. It was boring. I mean, destruction, devastation, cataclysms. All right, I'm up for it. You know, where do I sign up? I was like that in those days.
Yes, I've heard of the Process Church of the Final Judgment. But there again, there's no affiliation as far as I know. These individuals, Manson probably met, what's his name? I don't know.
We had actually nothing to do with Manson.
The first time we've met Charles Manson is when he was in jail.
What do you mean when you say you believe in the unity of Christ and Satan?
Love thine enemy is the key, we say, to the banishment of all evil. I don't think anybody by any stretch of the imagination can say that loving thine enemy was, in practice, Charles Manson.
Who knows what influenced him? You know, he could have looked at the literature and that we had. Somehow he might have run across it and said, "Oh wow, this is cool," or something like that. And he had his own interpretation of it, but it's way out there.
They had this lovely little coffee shop, and it was pretty much do as you like. And I was reading people's hands in a corner, and he came by. You know, we sort of knew who he was because he had his own little group following him, and he was very feisty, very argumentative. And he was tiny guy. And he watched us for a minute, and the person whose hand I was reading got up and left. And I thought he wanted me to read his hand, and I asked him, and he said, If you know what you're doing, you can read an egg. And he walked away. He was just in the coffee shop. You know, I have no idea who else he talked to. Personally, I think he was just looking out for his own crew and, you know, in competition with the world, because he was that kind of person.
Charlie was leading a gang of unwashed, drug-using hippies in this free-rolling, orgiastic party where they completely lost touch with common sense. We couldn't have been bothered with a punk like Manson.
Fake gods steal from each other. The difference was that Manson was a pimp. It wasn't about religion where he came from. So I think he probably took Scientology, all of them, religion, but mostly being a pimp.
We in fact did sue the publisher and Ed Saunders, and we did win. But you know, but the damage was done.
Mindbenders of Mayfair and stuff like that. That was great fun, you know. We actually would call ourselves that, whether my, you know. But no, you don't call yourself Manson's spiritual counselors.
Rolling Stone, they gave us a terrible review on America Is Young, you know, because of the connection.
What is the process? What is the process?
And to confuse you.